Alrighty, guys. We are back with another podcast episode of Muslim Professionals, the podcast. Assalamu alaikum. Today we have two special guests, Yara and Nourin, and they are the co-founders of Makani Homes. We're gonna get pretty deep with this today because I'm very curious about what they're up to. It's a very cool concept. I'm gonna have them explain it, but Assalamu alaikum, you two. I guess Yara, you're on my center screen first, so I'm going to make you do a little intro of who you are and know what you're up to.
Sure. So alaikum salam. So my name's Yara. I was previously Big Four management consultant at PwC. And prior to that had experience in HR. I kind of used that to break into management consulting. From there, was in the rat race, was doing my projects and, moving up through the ranks. I had my goals to get to manager. I made it into manager in 2 years. Reached all of those achievements and I felt that I needed more. And I really wanted to do something for myself. So I started sort of venturing out, starting different businesses. I started my own consulting business, landed really large projects and cuts out in the Middle East. And from there, moved back to the US, found my partner, Nourin. We both kind of chatted with each other, wanted to start something separately, independently. And we found Makani Homes from there.
Amazing.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Nourin, and I also came from Big Four. So I had a background in accounting, and I went ahead and I worked at KPMG right after college. I worked in the global mobility division, which is similar to international tax. So I was looking at a lot of, tax laws, country treaties, things like that. And I've always loved traveling separately. Ever since college, I've been to 19 countries. And after KPMG, I ended up leaving and I decided that I wanted to also open up my own firm. So similar to Yara. And that's kind of how we related. One time we met at a gathering and we were both talking about how I started my own tax firm. She started her own consulting firm. And from there, our partnership flourished.
That's awesome. So what kind of got you into the whole, like, I want to do my own thing? That's the first thing I really want to press on because usually, people will just say it and then there's people who actually do it, right? And it's kind of scary. So what kind of got you into doing it in the first place?
Nourin, you can
And
start.
anyone could start, yeah.
Yeah. Sure. So for me, 2020 was an interesting time, obviously COVID. And I think similar to everyone, I started reflecting on my life and thinking about my priorities in life.
Mhm.
Um, and from there, I felt like, I had kind of hit all of the check marks that I wanted to accomplish at the time, which was, working at a Big Four firm, the most prestigious thing you can do as an accounting major. I had made my parents happy, all that. And then I was just kind of thinking about, being stuck in this cycle of like busy season, working overtime, just all of that. And then I thought to myself, if I put that energy that I put in my corporate job towards my own self, I wonder what can come out of it. And I figured, okay, let me give myself, this arbitrary year that I'm going to try to do this and figure out if I like it or not. And if I don't, I could always go back to accounting. I'm a CPA. Alhamdulillah, I could always find a job. So that's kind of in my head how I rationalized doing my own thing.
The YOLO year, as I call it. Kind of just do it.
No.
All right, Yara, what about you? Sorry,
You did
did I
mention
freeze
that.
again? Yeah. Let me see.
Yeah, you did. This
I'm
one
gonna
is for a long time, so we were worried.
I'm gonna disconnect
So,
from my Wi-Fi and other devices. So, is it better?
sure. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right,
So I
Yara,
would say
you're up.
probably had similar findings, similar journey. When I was in consulting, and I'm sure maybe anyone who's listening to this who's in consulting and probably other fields can relate to it. Um, Nothing you do is ever enough. So you are always working on new projects. Every project requires you to upskill really, really quickly. You're learning new industries, you're learning new strategies, new tactics. So unless you're very, very specialized in something, most of the time, every project is basically a new job. And something that's really amazing about that is that you learn so much and you learn how to just get by. But then what you've realized is that even partners and directors and, all of these big names are just faking it until they make it, really. Everyone's just sort of figuring it out as they go along. And when you really break that down, to what the logistics of their job is and what their logistics of their responsibilities are, it's really something that anyone can kind of do. So I wanted to test that out. I consistently felt like I had really great leaders and mentors, but that I could be my own partner if I wanted to. I understand the client. I have really good relations with them. So let me try that out, and I just sort of went for it. I had met somebody who was working for a really large organization. They were looking to hire a firm. So I just, made my own LLC real quick. And I'm like, you know what? I'm your firm. Um, Hire me. Let's see how we can make it work. And I think jumping into the opportunity that you see without thinking twice is really kind of what gets people launched, right? The more that you're in your own head, and Noreen and I talk about this all the time, as soon as we get in our own head, it takes us really long to act on anything, any problem, any change, any opportunity. Whereas when we just go for it and, see sort of like this slither of light and jump through, um, something great comes out of it. It may not come out the way that we wanted it to, but, it's a huge lesson most of the time.
Yeah, for sure. So, you mentioned something about an LLC and all that. So, a common thing that I see, especially on Muslim professionals, is like, where do I start? Like, what do I do? Do I start the business first? Do I set up the LLC? Do I find an accountant? Do I, like all these thoughts kind of racing in like a business owner's head? It's kind of like, probably not the best example, but, like, it's like starting a band and there'll be, like, that one dude in the band that's like, "Let's think of the name," and then the other guy's like, "No, let's think of, like, the, T-shirt designs. Let's think of
Yeah.
what we would play," but it's like, "But, like, what about the music, guys?" So, like, I wanna ask you, like, what was the first thing you kind of worked on, as the first initial step? Was it a whiteboard? Was it a vision? Like, that's where I get caught up and kinda starting a business, so
Yeah. So funny enough, I think when Noreen and I started, we did fixate and did focus a lot on, the name and the branding and, um, all of these. I would say they're sort of minor nuances to the ultimate establishment of a business, even like the LLC and whatnot, because ultimately you want to know if your business works, right? So I think finding your problem and what the solution is to your problem and understanding if that solution truly is going to do what it needs to do or what you hypothesize it needs to do, it should be the focus. We spent a pretty good amount of time focused on other things. I think that was very beneficial for us because we had never worked together. So in our
mhm,
case, having these smaller problems that we can sort of check off of our list is actually what established our really strong co-foundership, alhamdulillah. So we had to get through disagreeing on colors and names and what kind of a business setup we want to have and our different problems that we want to target. So in the case of working with a co-founder, I think that's really essential. In the case of someone working on their own, I think it's important to just get things on paper and get to the essential problem.
mhm,
Yeah, and I would say to add to that, because I remember when I first started, used to listen to so many podcasts that would say the same thing. And in my head, I'm like, how can I not even start with a name? How can I not start with a website? That just makes no sense. I have to do this. And if you're like me and if you're listening to this podcast, I will tell you why it's not as important because I went through it. It's because the idea changes. It's literally as simple as that. The amount of times we've came up with names, we've came up with logos, we've came up with like even pitch decks. It changes until you find the problem that needs solving. So like Yoda said, that's the most important thing and it's really based on experience.
Yeah. Like
yeah, like
about a year and a half ago, Makani was a credit card.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you So okay, so I want to jump into Makani really really quick right after this question, but like when you guys were doing this, so was it, I guess, was it costly? Like how much money did you essentially have to spend in terms of the R&D to kind of get to the point where you were like, all right, this is the idea that we want to get into, or was it kind of like bootstrap? You guys were scrappy. How did you go about it?
Go for it, Nuri.
Yeah, so we were super scrappy with everything. So what we actually did is me and her sat down, we made a list of our strengths and a list of our weaknesses, and then we kind of combined our strengths and we're like, okay, you do this, 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 and that. And based on your experience, you do this, 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 and that. And we kind of just figured out ways to put everything together, whether it was like forming our corporation or like designing our logo or even building our website. And we're both not technical. It did take us a while to get there though, but we definitely just kind of bootstrapped it all the way.
Yeah. Also, in the beginning, again, if you had spoken to us like a year or so ago, and when we had finally nailed what we wanted to work on, our minds immediately went to let's develop, right? Let's find a developer. We need to have, in order for people to use this product, we need to have it sort of fully fledged out because who's going to trust it, right? And then
Hmm.
over the course of time, what you constantly hear on Y Combinator and all these other, um, you know, bigger podcasts and platforms is, test your MVP, get to market fast. And in our case, we're like, well, we either need to spend $15,000 to do that, to get to market fast, and 4 or 5 months of, 4 or 5 weeks of development minimum, or we need to figure out a way to do that faster. And
Hmm.
over time, we both realized that, companies like, Robert Half, which is like a staffing agency, and other similar companies work off of Excel sheets. These are companies that till this day, while they still have other tools, they work off of Excel sheets. Um, and we can too. So we ended up actually really narrowing it down to like forms, Excel sheets, until we were able to establish it, a user base.
Hmm. Yeah, because like the end user won't know the difference as long as you're kind of covering it up and making it pretty on the outside. So like, they just need the service to be done. And that's kind of how Airbnb essentially did it in the beginning too. So I do want to jump into this now. So what is Makani? You can feel free to share the screen. I want to learn about it because it's such a cool concept.
Yeah, I don't think I mean our website is www.makanihomes.com. Would you prefer for me to share the screen or
Yeah, why not? I'm gonna throw this on YouTube as well, so I guess people can watch it on there.
Yeah. So I guess I'll kind of start while you're pulling that up. So the question Zuhaib was, what is it? What is Makani?
Yeah, give me the pitch.
Okay, so
What's it all
uh,
about?
Makani is a home swapping platform for the Muslim community, founded by Muslims, for Muslims, of course. Um, we basically encourage people to switch homes in order to have access to travel the world, uh, by accessing other properties across the world. So, Nordine, you could take it from there. I know you were going to start.
Yeah, so essentially the first question we always get is what is home sharing? It's essentially the idea of switching homes with people instead of, paying for a short-term rental. It's actual real people who come together and they're like, "Hey, do you live in Toronto? I'm going there as well. Let's switch with each other and let's kind of avoid having to pay this huge accommodation fee because we can just coordinate together." So what McKinney does is we take this natural transaction and we make it safe and secure by verifying identities, verifying the homes, and also making sure they are Muslim friendly homes as well.
Amazing. So making sure that no one cooked bacon and they all take their shoes off before going inside.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, so that's like the biggest issue that I always have. Like we'll go to like an Airbnb and then it's like, that's the worst thing. It's like they have all these pans and stuff and it's like, dang, I want to cook, but I just feel like it's a little suspect. Did they wash the pans? Like, I don't know what they cooked with. And then I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'll just go out and just eat the same old, like, I don't know, just get a shawarma or something or find some Pakistani food. and on every trip. Sometimes I want to cook though. So that's really cool. So how many users have you guys had sign up so far in the past year after the pivot you guys made?
Um, well,
Sorry, did I
Did it
cut
cut
off?
off?
it did, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
we're
we
yeah,
had
go ahead.
yeah. So we had our soft launch about a month and a half ago. And our soft launch consisted of just, posting on social media, letting friends and family know, people that we've been meeting along the way. We've kind of been letting them know what's been going on. Um, and asking, seeing if they want to apply. Just doing that, we've had about 20 user applicants, um,
Mm.
and quite a few verified homes. We have, I think, about I want to say like 6 homes in what is it? No, doing like 5 countries now.
Yeah, and we also have over 100 people on our wait list, which is so exciting because the way we're doing it is we're launching in each city. So right now we're launched in New York City, but then we're going to expand to other cities. So we kind of have a wait list going on of people who are interested in the idea. And I think the cool part is that with, you know, any new innovation in the market, usually the Muslim market isn't thought of as the first or like the early adopters. So what we're really excited about is like, this is kind of like a new idea in the travel space. And we're just excited for the Muslim population to be the early adopters and to test this out for themselves and just get to be able to experience it.
Amazing. And so you guys are focused on a few cities. So when it comes to user acquisition, what do you guys what's your like common strategy that you're implementing right now to acquire these users um to come on your website, sign up and stuff like that?
Yeah, so it's a combination of social strategy. So we have presence on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and then also going to networking events, going out to meet people. We are very, very focused on having like, a close touch point with our customers. So we're trying to like go out in person a lot.
Awesome. So when it comes to like the pricing model, right? So when on the user side, are you charging like some sort of fee to list, and or is there an opportunity for people to make money by listing their homes on the site? So if you can elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, so our fee structure for now is $500 annually. That gives you
Hmm.
access to the community and all the homes on the platform. That also gives you access to our concierge service, which helps you find homes in any additional places that you want to travel to that we may not have current homes on. Um, so and basically with that you can travel as many times as you want. So you can
Hmm.
use Makani once. $500 saves you a lot of money even if you're traveling once. Um, or you can use it 5 times, and then at that point, you're basically paying $100 to travel each time. Um, we also sorry,
Sorry about that.
because we're also early in our launch, that's the main fee structure. What we're working with now is,
Hmm.
smaller service charges that we use to be able to upkeep that concierge service. Ensure that we can, keep the home safe. God forbid anything is to happen. So there's going to be smaller fees that are going to be tacked on, um, that are, you know, basically cents compared to what people pay for travel. But right now, our early rates is just $500 annually, access to any homes that are on the platform and more.
And to add on to that, it's not a listing fee. So you don't pay that just to list your platform. We only charge you if we successfully match you with a swap that you're interested in going to, and then you actually book the swap.
Wow. Okay, cool. So but can you actually swap with multiple different homes, I guess, for different periods of time? Because you did mention something around short-term rentals. So let's say that fee is it 500 per or dollars per year? And
Mhm.
then do you have and Yara, you kind of alluded to like a swap, like you could do 5 swaps or something. Is that
Yep.
the correct? It's kind
Yeah.
of like a timeshare, a much more affordable timeshare.
Yeah. So we often get that, and personally, I hate you know using the word timeshare because timeshares are such a scam. and all
Yeah,
are
they
also
are.
like impossible to get out of. Like, no, with Makani, you can leave whenever you want, you know. So with your money back guaranteed. You don't like working with us, don't like the service, it's no problem. Um, but yes, it's similar to the concept of timeshare, right? Like you pay once and then you sort of have access, except in our case, you actually have access. So,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
can actually travel.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was just out of timeshare. So okay, so I just and hopefully this guy does not kill me for exposing him. Basically, he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I got this villa booked for us, blah blah blah. Let's go." He got like 10 dudes to come. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Like this villa is amazing." We go to Florida, and we're at this like it felt like a complex almost. And dude was in meetings the whole morning, every single day, and for what like to like make sure that like one he can get like free credits, make sure that instead of he can get an upgrade from a 2 bedroom to a 3 bedroom. And I was like, bro, this ruined the whole entire trip because we keep getting scammed into these sales calls, dude. And he was
Yeah,
like, no, 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 it's worth it, trust me. I'm like, bro, like I don't know what happened to you, man. I think they really got to your head. Like,
yeah, they
yeah,
do.
it's
They do.
uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Why did they
funny.
do that? I don't get I don't understand like why do they do sales like this?
Yeah, I should know. On the topic of timeshare, we've been to my husband and I, because we're always trying to figure out new and fun ways to travel. We think we take travel a lot more than just like going somewhere and like eating somewhere, So we're
Yeah.
always kind of along for the journey. So one of the new journeys that we played around with last year was like the whole like the free trips that timeshares give you. 'Cause
Mhm.
they're always like, get 5 days in Orlando or, like, 5 days in, like, some random beach town that no one's ever heard of,
Yeah.
But they get us every time. Every time we sit through, like, 3 hours, then we're like, "We really don't wanna buy this, but, just give us the free trip." Um,
Yeah.
and we found out recently that the free trip, when it comes with flights, is, like, the worst flight ever, right? You get, like
Yeah.
it's basically like 4 layovers, inconvenient times. It takes you like 24 hours to get to Florida. So
So I guess
so
it's not is it worth it in your
no,
opinion
no,
doing this? Yeah.
absolutely not. N
Right.
not.
Because I just had a kid with me. He's an intern or whatever. He was telling me, yeah, me and my dad do it all the time. Like, yeah, we just get free trips. That's our vacations. I was like, yeah, but like, don't you hate the fact that your whole morning gets shot because you're in these sales calls? And he's like, yeah, but I make my dad go do the whole thing. I'm just hanging out, doing my own thing. But when you're a couple, it's like kind of messed up, right? Like
Yeah.
you could
Yeah,
just like drop one guy out.
exactly. I mean, especially when that guy is my husband and he didn't wanna go to begin
Yeah.
with, So
So what about you, Norton? What's your travel hack?
My travel hack. So I've been recently getting into like award bookings and like booking flights with like awards. So uh for my honeymoon actually last year I was able to like go all the way to Thailand on a business class flight and I paid like
Wow.
$200 for it. So I love that. But then that kind of made me think about accommodation and I was like, there's no true way to like hack accommodation like you can hack flights. Like there
Oh,
are some ways, but it's not as good. And you also don't get like you kind of have to like stay loyal to a certain hotel brand or
Yep.
which I'm not. I usually like to go to wherever like it's a Hilton, it's a Marriott. I don't like to be specific.
could be a Makani home.
Yes,
Exactly. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nudge, nudge.
Maybe that's like the next like level of Makani Home. It's like Makani Home Plus, and then you do get that accommodation service. Who knows? And then maybe you put people
Definitely.
into those 3-hour sales calls. I don't know.
Yes,
No
But,
sales calls. No sales calls over here.
please
yeah.
put us on every podcast. You're only allowed on our platform if we're on your podcast.
So quick question about your team makeup. Is it only you two right now, or are there more people on the team?
It's
Yeah,
just the 2 of us right now.
yeah, and we're playing with the idea. We have a few. We've been interviewing recently for a few interns as well.
Awesome. So are you guys currently bootstrapped or are like self-funded, or do you guys have seed money that you took from?
Yeah, interesting timing. So we are still bootstrapped. Um, till this day, but we are hopefully looking to flourish out of that soon. Although those have been wonderful times. So we're actually now looking for seed money.
Hmm.
So we put together our pitch deck. We'll be reaching out to, we're going to start with our potentially family friends round or, community round as well. If there's anyone in the community that's potentially is interested in supporting Muslim businesses, we'd like to, open up our rounds to these individuals first. And then we'll sort of, go from there and look for like larger, like bigger money, um,
Awesome.
VCs and
And right now,
venture.
what's like the issue that you guys are having, like in terms of just growth? Like, what would the funding essentially be for? Because who knows? Maybe there's a potential investor that listens to this. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah. So we are really looking to grow at as quickly as we can. So we want to be able to, use it for marketing, our customer acquisition, building our products. So now we're at the point where we do think developing is a good idea. We have the user base for it. And just really being able to kind of go full force with Makani and build this marketplace.
Hmm.
yeah. And even our launches, like we're planning, like Nuri mentioned, to do like the city by city launches. So right now they're sort of softer launches where we're, meeting up with different Muslim groups and, just hosting like meetups and whatnot. But this is like sort of in the works for like really large launches in different cities. And those launches, of course, are going to be very costly. We want to be able to spoil our user base and welcome more users as well to join us. So that's probably that, and product is probably the biggest uh, buckets that we're looking to put our money in.
Have you guys heard of the concept like build in public? Are you guys implementing that as one of your marketing strategies, or are you unfamiliar with that concept?
Uh,
Are you referencing like building it based on what your community wants, or?
No, like literally, like you guys are on LinkedIn and Twitter and constantly talking about each and every update. Like, this is what I did today. And people just follow the journey because I will tell you this. I do, a lot of the e-com industry and the AI industry has been doing that. And it's gained a lot of following. A lot of potential entrepreneurs start following along, liking, retweeting, all of the stuff. Uh, So I wanted to see if is that something that you guys were doing. It's a cheat code right now in terms of getting free marketing right now.
but that's mainly
Organic.
for products, Zoe. No, like that's like
No, I
if
do
you're
it now for
developer
my
building.
software.
Oh, really?
I do it for our so yeah, I'm on LinkedIn all day, every day, just posting, and then I join some pods of other people building in public, and then we like each other's posts, and then I end up getting like 20,000 to 40,000 impressions a week.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
that's
So
nice.
yeah,
Uh,
so it might be something that to look into because I'm trying to start like a Muslim professionals type of pod. We kind of have one already on the Slack channel. We'll just start liking each other's posts. You just like slap it in there, but um, I would consider because I'm on your profiles right now, and like y'all posted the last time was 1 week ago.
yeah, we're sleepy on LinkedIn specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, because Zohaib, what it is, there's just so much to do, and it's the two of us, so it's, like,
Yeah,
so hard to coordinate with everything, like, if you listen to our conversations, me and Yara, we have so many plans, like, for Makani, but we can't do them all, so but, I mean, if you recommend it as a strategy to focus on, we'll definitely look into it. Sounds super interesting.
like literally, like I so when it comes to this content, I'm gonna sound like Gary V real quick, so just I apologize, but I wasn't a believer of it either until I started working at Social Snowball. Uh, my partner, I guess he's the CEO. He's like, dude, trust me, like we don't run ads, like so before you join, like I need you to start getting into the habit of just posting on LinkedIn or like Twitter, just like choose one. So I started. I was like, all right, I'll spend the first 10 minutes of my day just thinking of some bullshit thing to post. Took me forever to think about that. But after 1 week of doing it, then I was like, oh, wait, this is easy because this is like, you're just posting stuff that you think is obvious to you, but it's not obvious to anyone else. And people just start liking it after a week. Like LinkedIn maybe boosts it or something. But then I just kept doing it. And now I have this habit of like 10 minutes of every morning. Maybe I'll write a post of like, maybe it's just notes of like what my daily tasks were. And I'll slap it into Chat GPT and I'll say, hey, write a post that's engaging and follows the build in public kind of LinkedIn post mindset. But these are my tasks for today. And then you can ask Dolly to just like make an image and then you just post it. So just want to throw that out there. If you're not doing
Yeah.
it yet, I think that it might be worth trying because it is free marketing. And then
Yeah.
slap that link in Muslim Professionals like Boost Me channel, and then like you'll get like 5 or 10 random people just liking it. Then over time, that will boost your posts up and presence on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's something
So
to consider. I'm actually looking at Reddit now. It seems like this whole build in public thing started like 2 years ago.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
And it's
companies
like
are
hitting now.
becoming. Yeah, it is the hot topic right now, and like that's why these build in public podcasts are coming out. People are
Yeah.
literally podcasting their entire journey. So like, there's this company called Midday Square. Obviously, these are Muslim businesses. I feel like Muslims are missing out on this one concept, and I'm gonna ask you guys this too. Like, does it ever hold you back? This whole concept of like protecting yourself, like Nazar, like evil eye, whatever it is. Like, do you feel like that holds you back? Just growing up and your parents telling you like, "Yo, like, don't talk about your successes and don't talk about your failures," or is that something that's like not like totally irrelevant? I don't know, but it's just like Pakistani growing up. Like my parents were always like, "Don't tell anyone anything. Don't post it in social media. Don't do this." And then I feel
Yeah.
like even in my interviews, I don't tell companies like, "Yo, this is you know who
Yeah,
I
you gotta
am."
stay humble.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna give me another. No, I actually completely get it because I grew up that way too. And I feel like something that as an entrepreneur, I need to constantly work on is the way you think. So it's like I've been constantly trying to like not think that way and be able to post on social media. So I've like been posting a lot more on our TikTok account, on Makani Homes. So, but I think it's just like something you constantly have to be like aware of in the back of your head that some things you just don't do because of your past or the way you were raised.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I actually have a pretty non-traditional viewpoint on Nazar, um, where I think Nazar is very internal. And I guess this is also like not a faith-based podcast, but like I guess I'll sort of tiptoe on this lightly. But I think really we never really know where Nazar comes from, right? So something that used to make me very uncomfortable is like when someone would be like, "Oh, like my necklace broke. Oh, it's because that chick was looking at it the other day and complimented me on it and like didn't say mashallah." And I was always like, "Well, how do you really know?" Like now, how are you pinpointing where the nazar came from? Like just because someone looked at you, that doesn't really make much.
Vibe.
Exactly, it's just vibes at that point. Vibes are taking us in the wrong direction here.
Yeah,
But
and it's like, is it my fault that the Nick like she looked at it? What if she just looked at it because I don't know. It's just like she just maybe she wasn't even looking at it. She was looking
yeah,
at something else. I don't even know.
yeah. Also, maybe it's not her, right? Like no one knows where
Yeah.
really no one knows where nazar comes from. And I think that as long as I sort of have always had the mindset of like, as long as I'm not trying to be like, I'm approaching everything with the best intention that I can. And I'm not approaching things, with the intention of even like this business, right? Like we're approaching this with trying to bring things to the Muslim community, doing whatever we can for the community. If it works, great. It might not work. Who knows what laughing stock will be a part of, but it doesn't really matter because we're still pretty eager to build, pretty eager to learn, and pretty eager to make mistakes too. Um, but I sort of started to approach life that way too, where, if I can't keep gatekeeping things for my own self. it's
Yeah,
you
yeah.
got you have to sort of get out there, right? Like you have to like test concepts with people and talk to people and learn from people as well.
Yeah. And I always say it's like at any time I'm hesitant about doing something, like even if it's posting, right? I think about what's the worst that can happen. Really, what's the worst that can happen, right? Like if you think about it, just take the chance because the best case scenario is it may go viral, right? But worst case scenario, nobody's going to see it or someone's going to make fun of it. But honestly, again, who cares, right?
More often than not, most people don't even care enough to like make fun of you. Like
Right.
that's what I realized. Like I think it was like maybe when I grew up in high school and uh it's like all those like you have a really tight knit community you're growing up with. You go to preschool with them, elementary. That's when you probably get made fun of the most. But like random bystanders, they're gonna be like, ah, whatever, this is stupid. Like I'll just skip. Like then they have something else to like, watch and call stupid and move on. Like, they're not really hung up on you. So like it took me a while to get past that as well. Like I feel like and I was talking about this last night. We had this meetup through Muslim professionals or whatever. Like and we were like it was a stark difference between the people who grew up in like brown communities, like people of color communities, and then like I grew up in like full on white, like I wanted to be in a band, like I was like, oh yeah, like look at all these kids, they're like doing drugs and stuff. I want to be cool like them, but I was like a fat, chubby brown kid, like sounding like Aziz Ansari, and I was like, hey guys, like what's up? And like trying to fit in, but, like, random kids would be like, "Hey, man, your nose, like, why is it so big?" Or like, "What?" Blah, blah. And I was, like, always looking for ways to, like, it change myself for them. Sorry, I know I cut off for a little bit, but basically change myself for them, and, I think it was, like, once I surrounded myself with people who also didn't give a shit about anything, it made life much easier for me because then I was like, "Oh, wait, like, those are just, like, uncool people. They just
Yeah.
didn't wanna vibe with you." Um,
Yeah.
you know And I always think if I have something bad, like, the Nuzzer thing, I wanna go back to that. It's like, who knows? It could have been that auntie that you bumped into the back, like, during Jummah. I don't know, like,
Yeah. You know, dude,
but, like, do I have to worry about this anymore? Like, I don't
a
know.
story that changed my life was when someone told me, and I don't know how factual this is, but someone told me that um, there was a woman who was trying to have children and she couldn't have children. And, she kept trying, it didn't work. And then her mother was like very distraught and her mother was very involved in the process. And eventually she went to a sheikh and she's like, what do I do? I really want to have children. Obviously, time's running out. What's going on? And somehow down the line, they found out that it was like her mother that was giving her nazar through like some sheikh who mentioned that. Now, my reservations are, how does anyone really know who's giving who nazar? But like I think the moral of that story is that you really genuinely don't know. And if you're going to operate your whole life under the idea of, someone's going to give me nazar, so I can't do this or I can't do that or I can't do the third thing. I think that really opposes the idea of jihad in Islam, which is strive and continue to strive and just wish for the best. So it's sort of opposing views there, you know?
Mhm, mhm. So, I wanna ask one final question because I know we went over a lot. We went over how you got to your business, what kind of got you started, where you guys are currently at. So I wanted to ask, what is gonna keep what core concept right now is keeping you motivated to keep going? Because it is the early stages. You guys are still growing your user base, and you probably have sleepless nights like, hey, is this gonna work? Is this even worth it? Should I just go back to PwC or Deloitte or wherever I was working? What so that's what's keeping you guys motivated, keep going on. Sorry, my wife's talking
Honestly,
on
for me, it's
FaceTime, and
Nordine.
I keep texting her. I'm like, "Yo, turn your Wi-Fi off so, like, this call doesn't freeze." But, I don't think she hears me.
It's okay. It's okay. All good, all good. Yeah, for me, that's Nudine. I love working with my partner, honestly. She's awesome. We always say this, like Alhamdulillah, we've built such a great partnership, and I hope that it stays that way. And if it's not this, it's going to be something else. We have so many different ideas. We have the ability to do anything, But what keeps me also focused on Makani is the fact that um, we like we see the opportunity very, very clearly in terms of home swapping. And we see the amount of companies that are opening up and that are, trying to break into home swapping. And bringing it to our community is really something that's amazing to us, being on the forefront of it, allowing Muslims to see this first. I hope they see that, the opportunity that comes with it as well. And then we don't end up just kind of like, sidelining the idea until it becomes huge somewhere else. But it could be really huge for us, and we no longer have to compromise. Like we have a
Uh,
Muslim business that allows us to travel in the way that we want to travel comfortably, bring our families along comfortably. So we just see the opportunity, or I can speak for myself. I see
yeah.
the opportunity.
And
There's
not
no-
have to sit into timeshare meetings. That's the big
yes, and
one.
not have to sit in timeshare meetings. Yes, all brown and Arab families have been doing that for years now, right? Families of
Yeah.
immigrants.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say for me, first of all, Yoda, I feel the same way. And I think for just anyone who's listening, and if you're thinking to yourself, how do I stay motivated? How do I kind of keep going? I think I would say constantly remind yourself why you're doing it.
Mhm.
And it's not a one thing, because I think sometimes people lose sight of the fact that you're gonna have hard days. Like there were some days where it was hard and I had to keep reminding myself of why I'm doing this. And I would say that for me, I never fully belonged in corporate. There was always something missing. And it has been so amazing working with Muslim professionals, founders, travelers, like just seeing our community and knowing that in 5 years, like the Muslim community is going to be somewhere else. Like we're going to have services, we're going to have startups, we're going to have so many things tailored to our community. And I see that and I want to be a part of that. And I just don't want to miss on this opportunity to contribute to our community.
Yeah, 100%. I'm seeing the same shift. I'm seeing more and more Muslims helping each other either promote businesses, use the business themselves. Like right outside my house, there's like four, Yemeni coffee shops, and it's amazing because it's like
Nice.
or going to Starbucks, and they're going to the homegrown coffee shops, trying a whole new flavor and getting a taste of what the Middle East is about, what South Asia is about, what these other Eastern countries are about.
Yeah.
Um, it kind of destigmatizes the whole, stereotypes that Muslims have,
Yeah.
which the that to me, that's why it's so important to have people like you guys starting businesses, people, starting networking meetings and all that stuff, talking to each other. So very, very cool seeing what you guys are doing. I'm super excited to keep following along. I think, inshallah, it's gonna pop off for sure because it's a concept that not a lot of people have. And I think once it's evangelized enough and Muslims start hopping on, could pop off like big time. So
Yeah,
uh,
inshallah.
I I want to use it myself, inshallah. So like let me know if you guys start servicing the Dallas area. I'll definitely sign up.
Yeah, we'll be launching there eventually. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, really nice having you two. Where can people reach out to you if they want to connect?
So the best way to connect to Makani is through our email, hello@makanihomes.com. And personally for me, my LinkedIn, Nourin Abu Bakr, you can find it as well. And it's very easy to message me there.
Yep. Same goes for me on LinkedIn. Yara or Fali, Yara. I'll probably be one of four on there, so it won't be so tough to find. So you can connect with me personally there. Please visit makanihomes.com. Sign up with us. There's no obligation. You won't pay anything. You'll just follow our journey, follow us on socials, see what we're up to. We have some really cool homes. You'll get a little preview of the 10-person villa we have in Turkey and like all these other awesome places that we've been seeing. So definitely take a look.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you too for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
hope to catch up in like a year and see where you guys are at.
Yeah.
Again. All right, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Take care.